Facebook, Tim's Instagram, and we got Zoom right in front of us. So just in case a few people miss it, I know that a few people want some background.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure that I'm on the Zoom. Okay.
I think we're in all 3 cameras at this point. Yeah, this feels really professional. Now we need like a microphone and uniform. That's
never gonna happen.
So
oh my gosh.
Real quick.
Yep.
There was a holiday just happened.
Yes.
It was America Day.
America.
How was your?
It was great.
Yeah, what did you do?
Just kind of relaxed. We moved our gym time. It was like another day for us. We didn't do anything crazy. Just worked out earlier in the morning because the gym closed and relaxed. And then we took some time for the weekend. We really did more on the weekend. Went up to Big Sky, went for some hikes with the Root Girl.
Yeah, we got a good hiking.
Yeah.
We ate some good food. We listened to some music. And now we're back to the normal grind. So today's topic, which honestly, we could probably do a weekly podcast on just this topic.
Mm-hmm.
It is about the worst fitness myths ever, at least in our eyes. And the way that I would classify a myth is some type of jargon or truism that is pervaded for a long period of time as if it's fact, but it's actually fake. And worse, it's actually detrimental to your progress that you want to see. So we're going to be dispelling a lot of these myths today.
Mm-hmm.
I picked 3 from the guy side, from the dude side.
And I picked 3 for us ladies.
Yes.
And what I want you to do is be excited, because sometimes I think with this, it keeps a lot of us from ever starting.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it did for me, especially the very last one that I'll cover, and it set me free. And then it just frustrated me that I waited so long to even try it. So hey, Kathy M, want to say hey to you and Warren. That's one thing I love about mine. I get to see my people.
Well, I can see people's too. Okay. So real quick, I want a little engagement this time.
Okay.
So what would be really fun is what is your guys' favorite / worst fitness myth that you believed that you found out later to be untrue? Okay. Comment that below. I just want to see what other people are thinking at the same time, because I know I'm not the only one, and Cece's not the only one that.
Amber, you too. I see you on there. Drop it in the comments. Let's see it.
Yeah. What is your favorite / most despised fitness myth that you believed?
Yep.
With that being said, I want to ask you kind of an opening question.
Oh gosh, again, I'm not prepared for this.
What's the worst fitness myth that you've bought into? And you don't have to like spoil any that you've given in our talk today. But what has been the worst one for you personally that you were bought hook, line, and sinker into, that you found out later, like, oh, maybe that's not helpful, and it's definitely not true?
For me, honestly, it's probably going to be centered around nutrition, because I grew up in the Cindy Crawford era, and I just know, and all of the ladies that I work with, like the number one thing that we always work on is nutrition and volume of food.
Mm-hmm.
We're scared to death to eat because, that's going to make you fat, or you're not going to be able to hit your goals. And it actually like jacks your metabolism up, keeping yourself in a calorie deficit or way too low for too long. So I wish that I knew that.
How long did you live in that?
Probably 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The vast majority of life.
Okay.
Yes.
Mine probably is not any shorter.
Yeah.
I totally bought into the more is better. There's no such thing as overtraining mindset. I would legitimately work out twice a day, 6 to 7 days a week, and wonder why I wasn't growing.
Mm-hmm.
Never got sore.
Yeah.
But never got jacked either.
Yeah. That was something my DNA report really told me that like blew my mind, that I was working out too many times. I needed more rest days. Yeah.
Yeah. Your body was probably telling you the same thing.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
I know mine was. I was just like, you don't know what you're talking about, body. You just don't know what you're talking about. So to start off, we kind of get into myths. I think it's important just to chat about like, why do these myths happen in the first place? So why are they so attractive and they stick so hard? Do you have any insight on why you think these myths like make their way into our hearts and minds?
In today's like Instagram world, where they follow everything on TikTok, Instagram, whatever, I think a lot of it is people see it work for somebody else or claim that it works for them. Mm-hmm. So they're like, oh, well, it must work for me, or that's exactly what I'm looking for. And it seems like such a good thing. Yeah. Sometimes when it's too good to be true, It is too good to be true.
Yeah, and I do think it's really important because this happens all the time. I mean, we can literally take two of the most polar opposite camps that exist nutritionally,
Right.
the vegans and like, let's say carnivore, which if you guys aren't familiar with carnivore, you've been living under a rock, but it's basically the opposite of veganism. All you do is eat meat, and they actually espouse that like vegetables are poison and they'll kill you. So I think your vegans are saying meat will kill you and it's murder, and then the other side is saying plants are murder and plants will kill you.
Right.
So neither one is true, but there's so much that goes into, I would call it like the N=1 of like, oh, I switched to carnivore and I lost 30 pounds and I feel amazing.
Yeah.
So therefore, since it worked for me, it will definitely work for you. Correct. Yeah. And one thing that if you've been around any amount of time, you'll realize there's no such thing as a one size fits all diet approach. The number one factor is going to be your ability to stay consistent. So a lot of reasons that, like, let's say carnivore makes me feel better. So number one, they're cutting out junk food because I don't believe that McDonald's is on the carnivore diet. And number two is you're forcibly making yourself eat fewer calories.
Yeah.
So you're removing entire food groups, and it's really tough to overeat on steak.
Yeah.
So that's why that works. And if it works for you and it makes you control your appetite better, you feel better on it, by all means, boo-boo, do you. Like it is probably a good plan for you, but don't espouse that everybody needs to follow that plan. Because like for me, I would feel like absolute garbage if all I ate was steak. And I love steak.
Yeah, but some people's body doesn't process it as well. So again, it's never going to be
never one size fits all. I think another thing that kind of to speak to the same is tribalism.
Yeah.
So like, as human beings, we want to be part of something. It very much goes back to like evolutionary psychology. And if it's like, oh no, we're vegans or we're carnivore or we're paleo, now I'm part of a tribe.
Yeah.
And now it's me against you.
Important. It is really good, but some people can get their identity stuck in how they diet, how they work out. Same thing with, types of workouts, whether you're a bodybuilder or a CrossFitter or a Pilates somebody, or, dance, like whatever your thing is.
Utility to all of it.
Yes. It can be very encouraging and a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's very funny though. Like in someone's Instagram handle, like their bio, it'll be like their religion and then their diet. It's like somehow like their identity falls within their diet, just like religion.
Like food.
It just makes me laugh because what you'll notice is as you get more entrenched into this, tribalism mentality when it comes to diet, it becomes tougher and tougher to be objective about what's actually happening in your body. So like even if you feel like crap, you're like, no, I can't have carbs. By eating carbs, I no longer can be part of my tribe. So it really entrenches that more.
Yeah, I have to say, I can see Damon Baker's comment on Facebook, and that is a really good myth, Damon. A lot of times there's these quick fix pills, shiny objects. Just one thing can like fix you, and he said that tracking his food, his goals, and his workout routines, how his body responds best per his DNA has been a game changer for him. Again, it's unique.
Well, and it comes back to that. There's actually a fallacy built around that. It's called the one thing fallacy.
Yeah.
So like, if you think about, if only there must be like that one thing that I'm missing that will make me jump from point to point C. When realistically, there's probably 100 things that you're missing.
Yeah.
And it's the summation of doing a lot of little things correct, rather than, oh, I just need to take hydroxycut.
Yep. Oh my gosh, don't get us started on hydroxycut. That's like a different story for a different day. So.
And then at the end of the day, there's one more thing: money. Money is another big reason. If you look into a lot of these campy people, a lot of times they've got a program or an ebook to sell you around why their diet is the best diet in the diet that will also cure cancer and probably stop global warming at the same time.
Yeah. And I just want to say, if you see anything out there making medical claims, run. So, and with that, you want to tee it up for the men.
So,
and ladies, these can still apply to you too, but these are just the biggest ones for men.
Yeah. And realistically, I picked these three. These are more around growing muscle. So female, male, men tend to fall into these camps more. And by no means are these the only myths that I see. They're just the ones that I would consider like just the least helpful. Like they're actually hurtful in the way that we approach them. And I can raise my hand and say I've succumbed to all three of these myths around growing muscle. So number one is you got to eat big to get big. Have you ever heard this one before?
Yep. And I love the seafood diet, man. Every man loves to, and it's always bulking season. If they're overeating, it's always quote unquote bulking season. Yes.
And I definitely did this. I remember, I got up to like 275, 280 pounds. One year I had competed at low 190s. I was like, I need to jump up to 220. I need to gain like 20, 30 pounds of stage weight. So I'm literally the seafood guy.
Yeah.
I remember like every night, this was after eating my normal meals, I'd buy one of those cartons of Ben and Jerry's carb conscious ice cream, which had only 3 grams of net carbs, but it was still like 200 and something calories per serve. But I would take down the whole pint. And then I would put on 2 scoops of protein powder into that. And I would say at least 4 tablespoons of peanut butter. And then I would drizzle chocolate sauce on top of it.
Oh, God.
And this was every night. It was probably an easy 1,000 calories I was getting before bed.
Right.
Needless to say, I got real fat. I gained a lot of fluff. And then when it went to diet for the next competition, yeah, I was totally the Pillsbury Doughboy on that one. I only weighed 3 pounds more on stage.
Oh man.
So that was a year of pushing my ass up hard. I literally would go to bed, vomit would come up in my mouth, and I would have to swallow it back down because my stomach was so full to no of it. Now, fast forward at least a decade later. Now, I rarely go 20 to 30 pounds above my stage weight. And I will gain anywhere from 7 to 10 pounds a year of muscle. So what this goes to show is we need a surplus to gain muscle, but the surplus needs to be relevant to gaining muscle and not so excessive that we gain a lot of body fat. Ideally, right around 300 to 500 calories above what you would consider maintenance, meaning what it takes to keep your body weight the same every day. For me, about 300 to 500 is plenty, and I want to see about a half a pound of weight gain per week max. So I'm looking at like 2 pounds a month over the course of a year. That is only 24 pounds. And even with that, I'm still putting on, I would say at least half of that is going to be body fat. So when I diet back down, I'm still net 12 up versus going up 50 and being down 47, only net gain 3. So this is something I see people do all the time is eat to the point where they're sick. They end up becoming insulin resistant. So that's why you keep putting on more body fat. They end up jacking up their digestion. Like they're having mad acid reflux. That was me vomiting every night in my mouth, was mad acid reflux. Their sleep gets massively impacted because they can't, like their digestive tract just never stops. Yeah. And then their training performance goes to basically to the basement. Because if you're feeling like a fat cow, like you're probably not going to train like an animal. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'd say this would be the first one that I find very insidious. You don't got to eat big to get big. You got to eat to your needs, which is just slightly above needs to gain muscle. James, I see you on Facebook. I'd love to see you drop in here some myths that you heard. And Julie, you can go ahead and jump ahead of the game with the ladies too. And then the second one for me, do you have anything to add to the eat big to get big? The only thing I would add to that, opposite of the myth side, is it is important what you eat. And you've helped me over the last 13 weeks to increase my caloric intake, but to stay the same body weight so that then we could come into this cut and I would have something to cut from. So it's not saying that increasing calories, there's not a time and place for it, but that's why a coach is important. No, and you do want to increase it, but the margin of how much you increase it is important. So like you were right around like 1,300 calories when we started, you got up to around 1,850 to almost 2,000 calories by the end. That's still only like a 700 calorie difference over a course of like 16 weeks. So you were still within that 300 to 500 calorie surplus. You actually weren't gaining weight. So technically you weren't even in the surplus at that point. Yeah. I'm talking about where people are eating 6, 7, 8,000 calories a day, cheat meals every night, where it's like the tank is full. You can't put any more in. So then it spills over into lots of fat. So yes, eating enough is important, but eating way too much, it's like everything. It's moderation. It's really worth it. The line in the middle is always the best. Second one, and this is definitely more in tune with dudes than chicks, but I have seen chicks fall prey to this too. You have to lift heavy in order to grow. And I'm going to use air quotes when I say heavy. And what I mean here is when you see people chasing load for the sake of chasing load. Now, a good example of this is a guy who's like, let's say he's trying to bench 400 pounds and his bench at 315 looks like garbage. So why would he add more weight to the bar to an already broken system? Weight does not translate to more muscle. What translates to more muscle is mechanical tension placed directly on the muscle that you're trying to hit. So AKA your pecs when you're benching, your shoulders when you're overhead pressing, so on and so forth. If we go too heavy, it'll actually disperse that weight across multiple muscle groups. You actually lose tension on the muscle. So what I would argue is you need to go as heavy as you need to fail within, anywhere from 8 to 25, 30 reps. And you need to be able to progress that load while maintaining perfect form in a full range of motion. I swear if I see another person with 5 plates do a quarter squat, and then complain about their legs not growing, I'm gonna freaking pop.
Uh-huh.
And it's so pervasive in male culture because it's like you're training your ego. That's the only thing that grows. And quite frankly, we got big enough egos. We don't need an ego there.
That was my 2 cents on that. Was going to say, check your ego, because 9 times out of 10, like, that's the thing. It's just, you're trying to push more weight, or you saw this chick. Literally, I told you when we first started dating about these 2 guys that were doing shoulder presses, and I was doing like 5 or 10 pounds more than one of the dudes. They just completely put it down, changed, and like went and did something.
Yeah,
else.
That's a hard hit on
it. And I get it, and I do at that point. Shoulder issues this week, totally different side note, whatever. But, like, check your ego. Do what is best for you in the gym for you to grow, and always, always, always make sure that you got good form.
Good form, and then full range of motion. I can't stress that enough. And then honestly, like when you get to the point where you need to progress, small progressions are where it's at. Not adding a plate to the bar. You're adding 2.5 pounds, 1 repetition. It just small micro progressions are really what's going to add up over the long haul. And you're going to do that without getting injured. And that's generally what cuts most people's growth season short. Is they get too fat, or they get hurt because they're trying to do one of these 2 myths. All right. So then the third one, and this one, it makes me balk because it was so pervasive. It's still like muscle confusion.
Yeah.
You got to confuse, you got to shock the muscle to
Ladies, listen to
make it grow. Damn it. There's no such thing as confusing the muscle. Every lift that we do is a skill. And like any skill, it takes practice to get good at that skill. If you're switching workouts every single time or every single week, your body never has time to adapt to it. You're just like, it's like getting a suntan or sunburn and then hanging out in the shade for 3 months and then going back into the sun. But you never got a chance to actually adapt to the sun.
I have a little better one. And in the fitness realm, I think this will hit with a lot of people. Guys, this is also why in your fitness journey, especially your fat loss journey, you're not seeing the results, because you do the same thing with your diet. You try to you try to confuse it. You try to do this for 20 days. You try to do that for 30 days. You do this for 2 weeks. And your body is like, whoa. Then it just goes into like lockdown survival mode.
Yeah. And do you remember the first time you ever trained legs like really hard? Or maybe the first time we trained legs together?
Yeah.
Like how sore you were? So that was because it was a new stimulus.
Right.
If you change your workout up every time and train really hard, because there's a lot of guys that will change workouts all the time, but always train really freaking hard.
Yeah.
Imagine always being that sore because your body's always getting like, I'm not a runner, but if you took me out to run a mile, I would be debilitatingly sore. Does that mean my legs are going to grow? No. That means I'm sore because it's something I'm not good at. It's something I'm not adapted to. But if I kept running that mile, I would get faster and faster and faster. I would get better at that mile. Same with lifting. I would argue you need to be on a program, providing it's a smart, intelligent program built for you, that keeps your needs and your goals at the top of the list.
Right.
For at least, I would say at least 16 weeks. Yeah. If not, I mean, this last training program I did has been over a year, over 52 weeks. I haven't changed anything. Barring maybe like I'll have some like, aches and pains where I have to like maybe adjust the movement so it doesn't hurt my elbow or my hip. I had like a little hip issue a couple months ago. I had to like modify a couple movements, but the same core workout has been the same for the last 12 freaking months. And it's no shock that the last 12 months have been the best growth I've had in the entire life. So that's what I see as the number 3. What do you have for us as far as myths for the chicas?
Oh, I have some good ones. And I think you ladies will definitely, you probably already thought about the top 2, but we'll go to the next one. You do not have to do insane amounts of cardio to lose weight. This just is not true. But again, back to the Cindy Crawford era that I grew up in, like that was just back in that day, women didn't lift weights. Women didn't do CrossFit. You weren't trying to grow a peach. Like it wasn't cool at all.
Something to jazzercise.
Yes, you did jazzercise. You did sweating to the oldies. Like
aerobic step class.
You just walked until you were bored out of your mind. Like that was it. I remember when my mom started trying to lose weight and her fat loss journey, like all she did was cardio. My mother never did any kind of resistance training, no kind of strength training, whatever, like especially in that time frame. And I think even today, people are really kind of nervous around that. And ladies, my point number 3 will really drive that one home. But I think that's the first one. And I believe that I probably just set somebody free because honestly, you hate cardio anyway.
There's a few people who just genuinely love cardio. but they tend to be like runners and things like that.
Yeah.
We do need to validate though that there is something to be said about burning calories.
Yes.
So what is the purpose of cardio in general? And it is simply just to burn calories, but that's playing to win today. But if you want to play to win long term, we need to set ourselves up for success long term. And how we do that is get our body to burn more calories at rest. And the only way to do that is to do resistance training and get stronger. So if we add in, like, let's pretend I'm a magic wizard. Like right now, I put my wizard hat on.
Can I rub you
and
like a genie and like make
a
a
wizard,
wish?
not a genie.
Okay.
I'm not like Robin Williams.
Hey, I had to
He's my
try.
favorite genie. But let's pretend with a snap of my fingers, you would drop 10 pounds of body fat and gain 10 pounds of muscle. So your weight would be exactly the same. Number one, your body would look pretty radically different. Yes.
Yep.
But number two is your metabolic rate would go up substantially. Every
Yep.
pound of muscle is worth about 50 to 100 calories per day at least.
Right.
So let's pretend, let's use 10 because it's easy math. At 50, even the low end of that, that's 500 calories per day. Multiply that by 7, it's 3,500 calories per week.
Yep.
And guess what a pound of body fat is? Roughly 3,500 calories. So just by adding 10 pounds of muscle, you would drop 1 pound a week just by being alive.
No, it takes a while to add 10 pounds of muscle, FYI.
Especially for females. Like we're probably looking at 4 years to gain 10 pounds of muscle. Yep. But if you could add a 500 calories to your diet every day, it makes it way easier to stay on plan because you know those couple tacos that you want, those fit into your
he
plan.
knows my love language.
Those fit into your plan so much better if you have a higher metabolic rate.
Yep.
Versus dieting on what I would call poverty calories.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're leading right into my point number 2. The myth number 2 for us ladies especially is that you must eat like a bird to lose weight. How many of you guys were back in the day when Wendy's had like their potato bar and you get like a potato and a super small salad, or that's all that you would eat? Anybody else on that? Hey, Misty, I know that you remember that. I think I saw Kayla on there. Kayla probably does.
I was wrong. I thought the potato bar was all you can eat, so I ate all the potatoes. Remember, I was trying to eat big to get big.
Yes, back in the day, I do remember you were also trying to play sports. But let me set you free. Again, back to the Cindy Crawford era and people thinking like you got to eat some carrots. Absolutely stay away from it and be scared to death of protein, because heaven forbid you as a female load up on protein. Oh, Mike's throwing one in there. Myth: eat less carbs and more protein to gain muscle and lose weight. Yeah, that there's a lot to be said on that. Was almost that's a whole
the carb conversation is it's right in line with the same one.
Yeah,
like there's nothing evil about carbs. They're an energy source. At the end of the day, it's calories. And if you want to gain muscle, you have to be in the surplus. If you want to lose body fat, you have to be in the mix. So
right.
So carbs are not the swing state of your nutrition.
Right. And what I want to tell you guys from my personal experience is when I ate the least is when I was the softest. My body composition, I was less muscle, more, fat and fluff, which takes up more volume in our clothes. That's why your clothes fit better, even if the scale goes up or you stay the same and you gain more muscle. And when I ate the most bodybuilding is when I was the leanest and the smallest. So, I mean, it blew my mind. That's why I've literally lived all 3 of these that I'm talking to you guys about. And I want to set you free too. That's why I'm so passionate. We're both so passionate. He also, was trying so hard to play sports and to more or less get to where he is now, but going about it all the wrong ways.
I was running 100 miles an hour the wrong direction.
Yeah, actually, we both were.
Yeah.
So let's come to my
good.
favorite.
That's good.
Okay. Weightlifting and strength training will make you bulky. And for those of you on the Zoom, you can see this is actually a picture. I was at a incentive trip down in Dominican Republic. We had like our fun little night out, and you get to wear like your nice dress for the night. And I had an open back because I was so proud of just honestly how strong and muscular my back was. That has been my hardest muscle group to work. But guess what? You can't get a strong back by doing cardio. Like you have to add some strength and resistance training. And literally, let's just talk about waist. My waist was the absolute smallest when I was bodybuilding. So I'm really, really grateful that I've had a few people. I'm going to give Danielle Swafford a shout out here. You changed my life, sis, because you pushed me to conquer the gauntlet with you guys. I think my first one was probably 2016, 2018, somewhere in there. But it really forced me to do more like strength training and whatnot. And I was a little bit timid. And then that led to, oh, well, that wasn't that bad. And I actually feel better and my clothes are a little looser. Maybe I could pursue this bodybuilding thing. And I could do that with my girlfriend who just had a baby and, kind of support her. Cause I also remembered her going through her thing the very first time that she did a show and thinking, like, we used to be workout buddies. We worked out at the same time. And when she did her show, I was like, you're freaking muscular as all get out, but you're tiny. Like it blew my mind. It didn't make sense. But what I can also say is, even from a coaching standpoint, hundreds of DNA reports over 5 years, and it has yet to say that strength training is not beneficial for anybody.
And we're talking all age demographics, from kids all the way to, elderly. It's even more important.
Yep.
And it doesn't just have physical benefits, and we're talking even psychological benefits, like treatment of bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety. Like, there's so many side benefits to resistance training. I think it should be a mainstay for everybody's exercise routine. However, if you don't like weight training, I would still find a way. And I think this is another thing that scares, I shouldn't say scare, but intimidates a lot of females, is they think strength training, they think, like me, like doing like hardcore, like deadlifts with like 5 plates and squats and like grunting and making all kinds of noise that will get me kicked out of Planet Fitness. Like, which ironically, I've been kicked out of Planet Fitness before. Lunk alarm was fully set up. But resistance training is just anything that challenges your muscles against resistance, where you're progressively getting stronger. So whether it's body weight, whether it's like bands, whether it's the TRX, the suspension trainers, like there's so many ways that you have a video on your Facebook where you're doing like literally on a swing, like doing push-ups on the swing.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me that that's not resistance training. Like, that's unstable surface. You're doing full body weight push-ups. Guarantee your triceps are on fire. Like,
that was one of the hardest chest try days. Aaron, that was at your house outside of Charlotte, North Carolina.
But I think that's just really important. And then on the other side of that, more just out of curiosity, this is what I've seen with a lot of my female clients, is what did that do with your relationship with weight? Like, when you start to see your body change, like, how did you view that number on the scale? Because some women get a little freaked out when, even if their waist is getting smaller, they're getting tighter, they're getting leaner, but that scale weight's not changing, or if anything, it's going up.
Yeah.
Like, how did that affect you?
It actually set me free. That was probably it's a good point. I didn't even think about it, but looking at the scale, it made me really cling to, how do I feel? How am I sleeping? What is my energy like? How are my clothes fitting? Like, those kind of things. And it really helps me to say, okay, that's a gauge, but it's not the gauge.
Yeah.
And it helped me to really kind of like look at some other different things. And then even from a standpoint of in the gym, and back to your point on the pushing more weight from a bro side, whatever, guys, when I was bodybuilding, that was the number one thing that every man would ask me once they realized, I was just kind of jacked at that point, and they would come up, how much do you bench press? And I'm like, I don't know. Because even when I was bodybuilding, I never pushed heavy weight. I didn't usually have a spotter, and I'm going to do things in a way like with the Smith machine or dumbbells, something that I can drop and get out from under in a healthy way. But yeah, it's totally a bro thing. And I get it because it's the way you're built, and like to size each other up.
Yeah.
But still,
it's like, I hope that chick in the corner saw me quarter squatting 6 plates on each side. I bet she really, really wants me now.
Yeah.
Never happened in my whole life.
And for the record, I was never asked out in the gym by somebody. So
most of it just like, no, she's gonna out train me. I don't want to look like I train like a BZ.
Oh, whatever.
But no, I've seen the same thing. I feel like it desensitizes you to that number on the scale.
Yeah.
I always joke and I tell people, like, hey, look, your weight is literally just your relationship with gravity. If we teleported you to Mars, your weight would be 1/3 of what it is now, right? Because Mars it's not the size of Earth, it doesn't have the mass, so it doesn't have the depth, like doesn't have the gravity. So your weight, if you're a 300-pound person, you'd only be 100 pounds on Mars, or somewhere around there. But your body hasn't changed at all. So why are we getting so attached to weight?
Right.
And how I reframe that is like, look, this is a tool. This is one of many tools that we can use to gauge progress. Now, if you're someone who's, let's say, obese, really overweight, where it's deleterious to your health, absolutely focusing weight.
Right.
But once you get within like a healthy BMI, healthy body composition range, we should be more focused on what our body can do and what it looks like, body composition wise, rather than what that number on the scale says. Because I've been 220 pounds in many different forms.
Yeah.
My 220 now looks way different than when I graduated high school at 220. Way different. I have probably 50 to 60 pounds more muscle on my body, but the weight's still exactly the same.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really important thing just to drive home, especially for females, is don't be scared of the scale. Don't be scared to eat. Don't be scared to train. If you want to get lean and toned, which tone in itself is a word that just drives me bonkers because it's not a thing. You still want to train like you want to be buff. You're just going to eat like you want to be skinny, meaning you're going to control your calories. You're going to be in a slight deficit, but you're still training to get strong.
Yeah. Well, and something I meant to tack on earlier when you were talking about just how important movement is, not just for our physical body, but for our mind and just our emotions, psychology, depression, anxiety, all of that. Anybody that follows Tony Robbins, like that's one of the things, if you go through any of his conferences or anything else, and something that he preaches no matter what is about, change your physiology, change your mood. If you're in a bad mood, go for a walk. If your kids are somewhere, Katie Kaiser, girl, I hope you are watching. I'll see all your stuff on Instagram, but you may not be one of Tim's friends, but hopefully you're on Facebook today. Y'all, I love it. Y'all go see her parenting style. Her kids, it's just summertime. They spend a lot of time together, etc. But she's just, she's helping them to deal with this, and part of them dealing with some of their kid frustrations is, okay, can't get along, go take a lap. And it is crazy how it will change you, and all of a sudden you get back and it's just not that big of a
You
deal.
don't spend in a bad mood after they finish their workout.
Like there's plenty of times I didn't want to start the workout,
but not at the end.
At the end.
I'll be like fully vulnerable. I still do occasionally, but I have workouts that I call my demon killing workouts.
Yeah.
Where like I have, let's say I'm having a really bad day. I've struggled with like depression in the past, and anxiety. Yay me, both sides of the coin. But I would have days where I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to go to the gym and I'm just going to beat all the demons. And that's when, I might throw the logbook away and just go in there just literally to fun.
Yeah.
So if I can train so flipping hard that all that matters to me in this moment is the sensation of my legs feeling like they're going to break, the acid coursing through my quads, or my heart rate pounding out of my chest, I physically cannot focus on my problems. So what's the crux of meditation is it's being present in the moment. There's nothing more present in the moment than if you're under, a 20 rep squat with 405 pounds on your back.
Yeah.
And if you lose focus for a second, it staples you to the floor. So I find it very meditative and cathartic as well. And, a lot, it got me through a lot of really hard phases in my life. I just go to the gym, didn't matter what time, go to the gym, bang out a couple 3-hour workout, and literally stop myself from drinking, stop myself from, beating up people in traffic, I joke, exercise stops murder, 1000%. Weight training stops murder.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just how I've used it as well, and how I've seen it in my personal life, really helping and aiding and mental health side of things too.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously there's a whole gamut of myths that are out there, but we just wanted to pick the top 3 that most men come up against, most ladies come up against, and hopefully address some of those for you guys. If you have further questions, you can always reach out to one of us, shoot us a message, comment on here, whichever platform you're on. But these are always fun. Although I'm not so sure about all these questions that you always pop on me at the beginning.
Bring them on me too.
You never give me a heads up. I might have to do that next week. If you have any good ideas, drop them in my DMs.
I'll read the DMs. Oh no, I won't read your DMs.
You can read. Well, you can.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. Happy Wednesday, and we will see you guys next Wednesday for episode 4. If you get a chance, we actually did do an off-air episode last week of Cooking with the Cruises. So if you want to learn how to cook a tasty beef meal and learn also how we prioritize and navigate doing our meal plan, it is on both of our pages as well. So let us know if you want to watch that, and we can totally shoot you a link. But if not, we will see you guys next Wednesday for the next episode of the Fit.
Only one more thing. And if you have not gotten into our free 21-day challenge and you still want to, you have time to do that. Shoot us a message. We can send you the link to do that. We've got challenges each week. We've got prizes. We have an incredible amount of resources, cookbooks, things for nutrition, how to prep, exercises, you name it. So if you want to get prepared to go back to school, to get ready for the fall, or just in general, and you're all about a discount, and it's hey, it doesn't get any more free than free, then let us know.
It's a 5-finger discount,
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Have a good week. I forgot that my battery was about to die.